Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to be talking all about indoor seed starting. It's really exciting. So, we are here in our garage right next to our indoor seed area. I guess I should say who we are when I say our seed area. I'm Carrie.
I'm Dell.
So, we are the creators of the From Seed to Spoon mobile app. We started gardening 2016 now.
Yeah, it's been a
Yeah.
while now, coming about 10 years.
Yeah. Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we taught ourselves how to go about gardening, and we started in an urban backyard where there was a traditional backyard with grass and
This was our yard when we started here.
yeah, so we had yeah, just regular grass, nothing, and then a few years later we transformed it into a whole bunch of different a whole bunch of garden spaces, and yeah, it was really exciting. So we had a lot of fun, and during that time period we learned a lot, and we ended up making an app to make it easier for us because we kept like bringing out a bunch of books out to the garden with us. And
One time it rained, it was a bad thing.
yeah, well,
So that's where From Seed to Spoon came from,
yeah,
basically.
he built it for me. Make it easier for me.
So today we're going to be talking all about indoor seed starting. As you can see, we have our seed starting set up right behind us. We're going to be showing it, talking through how we set it up. We've got our baby, our 3-month-old Ryan, down here with us. He might be joining at some point too. Right now, he's just kind of chilling. So we'll see how
He's
he
watching. He's live watching us as well. So.
But we're excited. As always, put your questions in the chat, and we will pull from them as many as we can and pop them up on screen and answer them. And we're also doing a giveaway at the end of this workshop. We're going to be giving away a year free premium to the From Seed to Spoon app. So stick around to the end. We'll be doing that. But let's jump in and start talking about indoor seed starting.
Yes.
This is our first time doing a live stream like this. Portrait, by the way. Let us know in the chat what you guys think about it. If this is better, if you'd rather it be the way it was before. We're trying to make it to where we can stream across more platforms at once with these. So let us know what you think about this format in the chat too.
Yeah, so this way we get to go to Instagram as well. So
yeah,
if you're on Instagram, welcome. It's our first time doing one on Instagram. So
yeah, technology.
Woo!
Okay, so indoor seed starting. Let's start by talking about why you should think about starting your own seeds. And there's a number of reasons. One of the biggest ones is going to be saving money. So buying transplants from the store is getting more and more expensive. Every time I see the price of a basil plant or something, I'm just amazed how much they are now. And
Yeah,
if you,
I think one transplant is equivalent to like one package of seeds, or package of seeds might even be less than one transplant, and you could get
you get hundreds of plants. So you're going to save a lot of money starting your own seeds. That's the first reason to consider starting your own seeds. Second is variety. So if you want to get a basil plant, for example, and you go to where most people go to buy transplants, you're going to find the same 2 or 3 varieties of basil. You're not going to see a lot of different types, and a lot of the time those varieties are picked nationally for what works across the entire country and not necessarily for what works well where you are. So whenever you can pick your own varieties, then you can start choosing varieties that grow best in your area, and it gives you a greater chance of success, and also just it makes it more fun because
I was definitely going to say the more fun. It gets the kids excited about it too, because we grow all these different like colorful varieties that are like rainbow ones. There's even like a dinosaur kale that we grow that our son just freaks out about. So it makes it more fun for the kids and more likely that they're actually going to eat it if they're more involved with it from the beginning. Like it's way better.
Yep. So those are just a few of the reasons to start your own seeds. I think you were talking about the process of growing is fun too, especially if you have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Just letting them be a part of watching a seed, be planted and then sprout and then go all the way to going out in your garden is just a really cool experience for kids. And it's a fun thing to do at home if you have kids. So
yeah. And plus, like, you get to start like around now-ish. And right now, I don't know about you, but there was a big winter storm that hit most places, I feel like, overnight. We got some snow too. It was exciting. But you get to have a little bit of green going. We actually have some microgreens going. We have some indoor seeds already going. So we already have some green. It's exciting. You get some green even in January. So
Yeah.
I like doing it.
One more reason. When you buy transplants from the store, you have no idea what went into them, what kind of fertilizers or chemicals or, where the seed came from. When you start your own seeds, you have total control over that. And eventually you can start saving your own seeds, reusing them year to year, making your own heirloom varieties, things like that. So,
yeah.
Okay, hopefully we've convinced you now on why you should start seeds.
Everybody should. It's not quite as hard as it sounds.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
So let's first kind of give a bit of a disclaimer here. You don't have to start everything indoors. And there's plenty of things that don't do well if you start indoor and then transplant them. So like carrots are a great example of something that are not going to do well if you start them indoors and then transplant them outside. So our app, one of the reasons we built our app was to make it easy to know which plants are which, basically. So if you look at, if you download our app, there's all these different sections for each plant. I can't see the screenshot very well on here, so I'm just kind of hunting. Here we go. So these different screenshots show you what does best being planted inside or outside. There's calendars, there's all that kind of thing. Our app will help guide you through this, but just know that there's plenty of things that you're going to start directly outside instead, like a lot of the root crops and peas and beans and a handful of other things.
Yeah, and that's not to say you can't start them indoors. It's definitely going to be way better if you start them.
Yeah, and something like a carrot is going to be stunted if it gets transplanted, just the nature of how root crops grow. So those you wouldn't want to start indoors and then transplant. The plane coming overhead. Hopefully that's not too loud. Okay, so next slide, when to plant. Again, this is something that our app was built to make easy. So our app will use your nearest weather station to calculate when you should plant based on where you live and shows you right there when to get started. So I saw a question in chat already wanting to know when or what they can plant now and when they can start planting. Just download our app and it will show you exactly what all you can start planting now. There's a filter in there for plant now.
I will say that is my favorite thing about the app is just knowing the exact dates of when you can plant or just pulling up the plant now. Or there's also another section in the under my garden. I don't know if we have a screenshot of that, but I do actually up there. So under the my garden section, there's a task list too. So if you go through and favorite a bunch of plants that you want to grow for that season, it'll remind you and say, well, these plants are coming up soon. And then there's some that you can plant now. And that's probably one of my favorite things is to be reminded about which plants I can and can't grow yet.
So if you are in the way that's going to work out is the first thing you're going to be planting is going to be, or starting from seeds, is going to be broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, onions. Now, when that is depends on where you are, and the app will help with that. But no matter where you are, those are going to be the first ones you're starting with.
So if you're anywhere near us, I know we're going to be starting those next week. Yep. We're in zone 7. We're in Oklahoma City. So we're going to be starting next week. So yay. I just went through and ordered a bunch of new seeds last night. So I'm excited. They should be here in a couple days now.
We're growing every broccoli that we carry in the app, and we're pretty excited about it. We love doing these little science projects where we try all the options and see what we like best and all of that. So before we talk too much more about what plants we're going to be growing, let's talk a little bit more about supplies. And for this, we might just want to start grabbing some of the trays that we have and showing how we grow things. Yep. So let me turn that off and I'll grab a couple. And okay, so let me start with the biodome. Can you grab that biodome that's planted out over there? Yeah. So this is a biodome we're actually growing some herbs in right now. We have a kitchen herb garden in our sunroom. And so this is a biodome, and it comes with a tray. Can you hand me one of these trays? So that during germination, this tray, the lid stays on. And then once it germinates, then let me get a little closer to the camera and we'll show this here. Okay, so it has all these little foam blocks that you see. Not foam. What is it made out of exactly? It's some form.
Biosponge is what
they're called sponges, but they work really well because they're very mold resistant and bacteria resistant. And you can see that we've got a lot of great little basil sprouts going here, and some cilantro, some chives. So that is an option we love to use. We use these a lot.
Yeah, we have a lot of these. So pretty soon these are all going to be planted out.
And a lot of times we'll start our seeds in those and then start to transplant them into bigger ones. Now, here's another seed starting option. If you want to do the more traditional route of having like your own soil mix, like your seed starting soil mix, this is a tray that we have. It's made by Bootstrap Farmer, and we carry them in our store.
They're super durable.
That's the thing we love about these. So let me take one out here. You can see like typically like trays that they're super flimsy. This one, like we have tests where we put like every farm animal like.
Yeah, well, there was one time you put our Chihuahua inside of this and just carried him around just to test it out. And like, I know we say Chihuahua, but he is a big.
The point
is
these things are very sturdy.
Yeah.
And then they have these little plugs here. You can put soil into, and the seed starting mix that we use, we carry in our store as well, and it's made by Espoma.
We have some in that turquoise bin down there.
One moment. Okay. So this is
it's an empty one, but yeah.
And I just empty this into a bucket, fill it with water, and then drain it really well, and that's our seed starting mix. So
you can do that, or you can do coconut core. Coconut core works really well for seed starting mix too.
Yeah, mixed with some vermiculite. So that's the main thing that we use as far as our seed starting supplies. And then let's talk about lights now as well. So if you're just starting seeds, then you can just use standard shop lights. Hopefully I can show this. Is it picking up this okay?
Hold on, it's not showing that at all. There it goes.
Okay, so you can see we have the standard shop lights here. And I just have them mounted to the top. Now these pulleys are a game changer because it makes it easy to raise or lower your lights. Before we had that, we had chains and we were always having to adjust chains and it was a pain in the butt. So I definitely recommend these pulleys. And you can have shelves a number of ways. Like I built these 2x4 simple shelves here. These are metal shelvings here that we have lights hung from. Is that better?
I was saying try back up maybe a little bit because it's
cutting off.
In maybe if
and then over here we have another seed starting area. Yeah, let me move over here. Okay, is it showing up better now?
It's very, very washed out because of all the lights on.
Okay.
It's just very bright.
Yeah. Hopefully y'all get the idea. They're just like standard wire racks that we're using with shop lights. And that's what we use for our seed starting stuff. We do have one grow light that is like considered full spectrum that we use, but that's only if you're needing to grow something all the way to production, like a tomato or something like that. Or like, so we have those. So if we start tomatoes early and we get a cold snap and we need somewhere to keep them indoors, I can still give them some full spectrum light.
Yeah, but I do feel like that's a common question is people are always asking, like, do we have to have actual grow lights? Because they are pretty expensive, but just having just basic shop lights is perfectly fine for just sprouting seeds. Or even if you have a super sunny windowsill. So,
and if you want to grow on a small scale too, we have a really nice little tabletop kit that is pictured up above that we used to have when we just grew like in the house.
Oh, I still have that in the laundry room.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But we're trying to grow like one of everything we have in the app, so we had to really scale up and do a lot of stuff. Okay, so our next slide. More about seed starting supplies. We showed that in person, so we did that. Let's talk about heat mats because that's a common question as well. You don't need a heat mat for things like broccoli or cauliflower, kale, spinach, any of those types of plants, anything that's a cool season plant, you do need a heat mat for tomatoes or peppers. It will help them a lot. Or things like watermelon, cantaloupe, cucumber, all of those warm season crops are going to be benefited by a heat mat.
They'll just make it go a lot faster for you. And instead of having to wait, I don't know however long, like a few weeks sometimes.
Yeah, it was a big difference on peppers. Like peppers can take up
Yes.
to like a month to germinate if they're just left on their own with no heat map. But with a heat map, it's much faster, like a week or 10 days or something like that. Okay. What's this picture?
So in here,
Thinning down.
Yeah. So we do. So it's really difficult for people to thin down their seedlings, because they want to try and separate them or things like that. But I always recommend just thinning them down, because your seedlings are going to be a lot healthier for that. They're not fighting for space, for nutrients, for water. So just going through and making sure that there's only one plant growing in each spot, it'll make your plants do a lot better in the long run.
Which I will say, if you buy high quality seeds, you won't have to worry about planting as many.
Yeah. So typically what I do in that biodome, I just drop one seed in each hole, and that's all I need to do, because pretty much I get 100% germination rate, which is amazing. So I just put one seed in each hole, and then I'm good to go. But I understand too, because I accidentally drop a lot of seeds sometimes, especially if they're really tiny. So sometimes you'll have a lot more.
Okay, so let's talk about the concept of leggy seedling. So this is something that can happen where your seeds look like they're too tall, and you've seen
like leaning off to the side and
it's kind of spindly. This is usually caused by your grow lights either not being powerful enough or not being close enough to the plants.
Or having a burnt out one, which is what happened in this picture. We had a burnt out one and I didn't notice.
Yep.
Yeah, because they were on they were on just a timer and I didn't look. Bad me.
So this is something where if you notice leggy seedlings, this may be an indicator you need to bump up your grow light, or check to make sure it's working, or just put it closer to the plants. It just needs to be like an inch or two away from the plants, basically. That's why the pulleys make it so nice, because you're constantly adjusting them as the plants are growing.
So I will say, if this does happen to you, it's not necessarily a goner, because some people will just are so concerned, like once it happens, they think it's all over and done with. But there are some things you can do to help with leggy seedlings too. So you can, if you have a fan next to them blowing on them, it can help to boost their strength a little bit. Some plants you can plant a little bit deeper in the soil whenever you transplant them out. So that can help if you have a leggy seedling. But sometimes, I mean, if they are too far off, you might want to just get started again. But there are a few things that you can do to try to help them.
Okay, another thing you may run into is issues with mold, especially if you're growing in like a garage or something like that. So a couple things you can do to prevent it altogether. We have a fan, like a box fan mounted on the side of this wire shelf over here. And just running that fan for a few hours a day will really help with preventing mold growth. And then also you can make a spray that you use as well. You want to describe the spray that you make?
Yeah, so you can just mix the hydrogen peroxide and water and you spray the top of it. I don't remember the ratio. Was it 9-1?
I don't know. We have a blog post on it, though.
Yeah. So don't take my word for that. But yeah,
Andrew will throw a link in chat and you can
get
it from there. But
so if you do have issues, you can do that, or you can sprinkle some ground cinnamon on top. That actually helps too, which is really cool. But really the best thing to do is just to try and prevent it, which is where the fan comes in. And if you're reusing equipment from before, making sure you wash it really good, and just always watering from below too.
Yeah, that's a big tip too, is watering from below.
Which is why we have all of the stuff that we do have, like the biodome and then these bootstrap ones. They all have an area down below that you can water, and then the water will stay down there and soak up from the bottom. It gives stronger root growth, prevents lots of other issues too.
So there's this tray here that has slots in the bottom. and it sits inside this tray that doesn't. So you just fill this one with a couple inches of water, set it down in there, and then that's how you water. And that's what prevents a lot of issues. And also this issue here with damping off, that's another issue.
Mm-hmm.
And it can also be caused by equipment that hasn't been washed or sanitized.
Yeah.
Or
just having too much water in there too, so they're just sitting in moisture constantly. So that can really do it too. So again, watering from below is going to be your key.
Gnats are another issue that can pop up in a seed starting area. These yellow sticky traps help a lot. You can also use diatomaceous earth and kind of sprinkle it around the area. I don't like to do that indoors too much. It always becomes a mess. The yellow sticky traps generally work well enough.
Yeah, and again, the cinnamon works too, and I like doing cinnamon.
A fan will help with that too.
Yeah,
if you have a fan, that'll help keep them away.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last process that you need to go through before you take your seedlings and move them outside is this process of hardening off, where basically instead of planting your seeds directly outside, you phase them outside over a period of a week or two. So the first day, maybe you take them out just for a few hours, and the second day you take them out a little bit longer. You expose them to some wind, a little bit of rain, a little bit, like a little dark, a little bit of light. So just kind of expose them to everything gradually, and then, plant them out a week later. So that is a big deal, especially with things like peppers and tomatoes that can be sensitive to quick changes and it's hard for them to recover. So this also applies to if you're buying a transplant from a nursery or something like that.
Yeah, I was about to make sure I mentioned that too. So don't think just because you bought it and that it's 100% ready to go. You might want to get it used to the environment it's going in before you actually put it out there.
So let's talk a little bit more about the types of things that we're starting indoors right now and kind of how we approach our seed starting. Hopefully that plane isn't too loud. So again, the dates on this are going to depend on where you are in the country, but the order of what you're going to be starting is going to be pretty much the same. So broccoli and cauliflower are going to be the earliest of the cool season crops that you're starting seeds for. That's because they have a longer, it takes them longer to grow to full maturity than something like spinach or kale or something like that. So those are the first ones that we're starting indoors. Also onion seeds, we'll be starting those here really soon. After that, it'll be kale and spinach. Now, we'll probably just direct seed that outside, especially now that we have our low tunnels that we built. They're just like little greenhouse covers that go over each one of our raised beds. If you haven't seen our shorts or our videos past couple of days, check that out and you can see what I'm talking about. We basically just built little greenhouses that went over each one of our raised beds. So a lot of the greens I'll just plant directly in that because that greenhouse will make it to where I can plant them a little earlier. Still going to start, like I said, the broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, kohlrabi, like all of those brassicas. They're going to be like 50 to 70 days on harvest. Somebody's starting all of those indoors next week here in Oklahoma in Zone 7. After that will be tomatoes and peppers. It's still a long ways before we're planting them outside, but I want the tomatoes to be at the point where they're getting pretty close to production before I plant them out, because it gets really hot here in the summer and they don't produce as well once it gets hot. So I've got a short window in May and June that I can try and get some tomatoes out before it gets too hot in July, and then it's September before I'm getting more. So that's why we'll start tomatoes indoors here in the beginning of February or so. We'll start. I'll start some Romas, like the ones that I know that I'm going to want to grow for things like salsa and things like tomato sauce. We're starting those indoors first. Peppers take a while too, so and they also don't get super huge in a way. Like I can grow peppers inside, and it's not a huge deal. It's not like trying to grow a Whopper tomato inside. Like it's gonna be a big thing to try and handle after a few months. Jalapenos are going to be fine though. So we'll have those we start indoors as well. A lot of the warm season stuff we start directly outside, like squash and beans and all of that. We may take a run at starting some of our own squash this year, though. to help with squash vine borers. We can keep them protected until they're a little bit older and then transplant them out and have them under some insect netting and stuff, because we've got our butt kicked by squash bugs and squash vine borers for many years in a row. So
yeah, I just need to get better about going out there and either like aluminum foiling the base and yeah.
All right, so I see we have some questions. Let me start pulling these up. I think we pretty much just answered this one as far as what are the best ones. I know it's like right now it's the coldest it's going to be it's like the coldest it's been now in a long time. And the last thing you're thinking about is starting seeds. But the time frame for kale and spinach and all that to be started outside is right around the corner. So those will be the best ones. And then, like I said, for indoor seed starting, it was all the other ones I just mentioned. So the question is, how far apart do we put our beds? We space our beds 3 feet apart because I want to have plenty of room to get our gorilla cart through. And the gorilla cart's like 28 inches. So that gives me some extra space on each side. And then, yeah, so the cattle panels. For the cattle panels, that's going to be a little bit different for bed spacing. And we're actually going to be doing something new with cattle panels this year. We're going to be building some high tunnels out of those. So stay tuned. I'll show you what we're doing with our cattle panels this year. But for now, the focus has been all about building our new raised beds and then the greenhouses that go over them. So we have a lot of stuff that's come out recently that talks about that stuff. Great question here. If you had 2 to 3 things to start inside, what would you choose? What would be yours?
Well, I would definitely say broccoli because I love broccoli.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fun varieties.
What's your favorite variety?
Oh, the purple one. What's it called? I just ordered it too.
I don't know the name.
I don't.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I gotta look it up. I just ordered it last night. So there's a purple one, and then also the Aspa-Brock. I love Aspa-Brock because it has all these different side shoots of broccoli, and that's how I like broccoli best, is having the little side shoots. And I really like the leaves too because they taste amazing, especially in a stir fry. It's very good.
Yeah, I agree. Aspa-Brock is my favorite as well. Question here about using grow bags indoors. You can. That's totally an option as well. You're going to be dealing with some issues with mold and with gnats and stuff like that. That's going to be the biggest issue. But again, with some of the sprays that we talked about and stuff like that, you can overcome it.
We've used grow bags inside before.
Yeah.
At our old house.
Yeah. Oh, we already did that one. Oops. Apartments. Don't you? You have a video that talks about apartment growing. Andrew, can you find a link to that and put it in
I would
chat?
also say too tomatoes. I didn't say that. Or a good like patio variety of tomato. Like there's so many really good patio varieties of tomatoes. I think that would be a good option too.
You made a video all about growing in apartments. The keys for that were really just try and maximize the space that you have. Use your balcony, like any type of railing or something like that to grow vertically.
Vertical growing is going to be your best friend. Yeah.
The pulley system. So those are actually just pulleys that we sell in our store that are you just hook onto one side, hook on the other. You do have a video that you just put out the details, the seed starting area.
I didn't go into depth about the pulleys though, so okay. I will. Yes,
we will make one.
I will make one. I'll make it today.
Question about hydroponics. So we have not tried hydroponics personally. It's on my list of something I want to do. And it would totally make sense to use something like a biodome and then move them into like a hydro cell for sure. We've actually talked to some other companies that are doing growing with hydroponic systems, and the sponges that we use in the biodome are very similar to the sponges they use. So there's a lot of overlap there, and a lot of ways we talked about how that could work. So definitely recommend that. Question about garage temperature. Okay, so our garage is not heated either. It is insulated though. For starting cool season crops, it's going to be fine. Again, you're going to want the heat mat for warm season crops, and you know something like a biodome would help for those as well because it's going to help hold in the temperature with the dome. So That's my recommendation for the temperature side of starting seeds indoors. Again, like the broccoli and all that, they're all cool season plants, so they're going to be fine with cooler weather, and you don't have to worry about that. Okay, so let's pull back up here. And one thing I want to mention too is GRobot is an app that we have that is a AI gardening assistant that we built so that you can go in and ask any question that you have about gardening, and it will give you an answer. And it's completely free in the App Store. You can search for it by searching for GRobot in the App Store. And let's get a few more questions, and then we'll pick a winner from our questions. Oh yeah, the purple. Is that the one you were thinking of?
Yes. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
I love that. I grew that last year. It was really fun.
Leaf hoppers.
Oh, so leaf hoppers, we did the yellow sticky traps for those whenever we had issues with them in our garden. And that worked actually pretty well, putting those up.
Great question here from Lisa about onions. We typically grow onions from sets instead of from seed. This year we're going to try from seed, but typically in the past we do sets. That's definitely going to be the easier way to go. So if you have access to that, I recommend it. But we're trying seed this year. So I want to try some different varieties. You're going to find pretty much the same varieties if you're going from sets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other questions y'all have before we announce the winner? I think we got most. Starting flowers indoors. Let's talk about that.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. So a lot of flowers will need a heat lamp as well, or a heat mat. So we put ours on a heat mat whenever we grow them out. And yes, we definitely do. We have a bunch. We do like a lot of zinnias, marigolds, calendula, all of them. And we're going to be growing a lot this year. I'm really excited about. But yes, and the biodome makes a fantastic starting area for that.
I saw a question in here. Now I can't find it. That talked about shop lights and whether it would make Leggy seedlings. And no, shop lights, we have never had issues with Leggy seedlings with shop lights unless the bulb burned out. So we've actually switched all of our shop lights over to use the LED ones instead of the standard fluorescent ones. But yeah, we've had great success with shop lights and haven't had any issues with that. Strawberries. Any advice for strawberries? I'm not sure what fire time means.
I'm assuming first time.
First time. Okay. Not order fire time strawberries. Sounds cool.
She was in a hurry. She wanted to make sure she got her question in. I mean, we usually grow ours in big round raised beds at the smart pots, and they do really well. And we just give them plenty of space, and we allow them to kind of reseed themselves and spread, because they'll produce runners and replant themselves. So we kind of just let them take over an entire huge smart pot, and yeah, they do really well. We give them a little bit of shade in the summer because they don't like extreme heat. I think Ryan wants to say hello, everybody.
One moment. I've got a question here about caterpillars on kale. So this is a common problem you're going to have on your brassicas. And it's a really easy solution. So they have this stuff called BTK, which is a naturally occurring soil bacteria that you can spray in your plants. And when the caterpillars eat them, they die. And that's all there is to it. So it's really easy to use. It's completely safe for humans, for pets, and all that type of thing. So and also you can just use insect netting. That's another really good way to protect your plants as well. Question here from Cheryl, which I think is a great one we should address. You can put different varieties in the same flat for seed starting, but you want to be careful that they don't have radically different germination times, or you'll have one row that germinated on day 7, and then the second row doesn't germinate till day 20, but by then it's getting shaded because there's no more light coming because row 1 is getting too tall, and you can see how that becomes a problem. So just try and keep it to where you have the same plants as far as the same germination window.
Yeah, so what I'll do is I do different varieties of like the same plant, or I'll do like ones that are similar together in the same area. So like all my favorite ones of tomatoes, I'll put all together, and so on and so forth.
Okay, well, it's time for us to announce our winner, and then we'll answer some more questions. So our winner of today's they get a year premium to the Seed to Spoon app is Sarah Laliberty. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think I did. Congratulations, Sarah. Email us.
Yeah. Sorry, it's very loud again. There's a lot
of airplanes
tonight.
today.
Wow.
Apparently, they right the perfect time for us.
So email us, Sarah, at info@seedtospoon.net, and we'll get you all set up for your 1 year of free premium.
And we will answer some more questions here. I've seen a few questions about a garden planning feature, like a layout planning. It's definitely on our list of something we want to build, not something we're actively developing right now, but it is something that we want to build. And I would love to see your ideas for how you would want that to work. If there's another version that you use, or maybe another app that you use that's similar, I would love to see your ideas on how you would like that to work. So I think realistically, we're still, at the end of the year is the earliest we could probably do something like that. A lot of it depends on the technology we're using for the app itself, and we're in the process of rewriting the app. I'm not going to get too technical and too detailed all here, but we're in the process of rewriting the app to be in a completely new language, new infrastructure, new everything. And once we're over in that, then something like a garden planner becomes much more feasible, and something that's we can do a little easier than what it would be right now. We could build it right now, but the experience would not be great, and it would be buggy, and it would be kind of jittery, just kind of the nature of how some of this stuff works. And as always, we try and make it to where if we're going to build something, it's going to work really well. And that's what we've tried to. Yes, what he said.
Yeah, he's putting his 2 cents into it.
Okay. Looking at some of the questions we have come in. Yeah, I love your idea, Bree, about the icon. Like, that's kind of the vision I have in my head too about how this would work. And we've worked on some prototypes, and just with the current technology stack that we have with what the app is built in, it just isn't going to perform great. But in the new stack and the new stuff that we're building, it will. And I think there's some really interesting ways that we could incorporate AI and some other things into making the process even better as far as recommendations go. So we do have a lot of really exciting stuff coming out this year, though, that we're doing with the current version of the app. There's still a lot we can do with it. We have new notifications that are going to be coming out soon. We have a new collection view that's coming out soon that's going to let you see like a pizza herb garden or different types of gardens, and then you can easily log those to your garden or buy seeds directly from there. And then the big thing I'm really excited about right now is the innovation that's coming in the AI space when it comes to image recognition and things like that. And we're going to be able to do a lot of really cool stuff with GRobot here really soon once some of these new APIs become available to us. Yeah.
He's got a lot to say today.
Yeah, he's hyping it up. He's excited. He just got here, but he's already excited about it. So, okay, let me look and see if we've got any other. This is actually so John had a great comment here. Mel Bartholomew in the Square Foot Gardening book recommends sowing seeds directly in vermiculite, and that works too. Vermiculite's expensive though. That's why I don't do that, and I just use like the seed starting mixes that we either make or the Espoma one, because vermiculite's getting harder and harder to find and more expensive when you do.
Yeah. If we use it, we just mix it into coconut coir, and it works really well too.
Ryan is 3 months old. Almost.
He is. He's almost 3 months. Yep. Say hi, Ryan.
Is this his first appearance?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. John, what other questions did you post? Sorry, I saw your question about vermiculite. Do you have any other ones I missed? I saw this one about JADAM, and I wasn't sure what that was. Is that what you're talking about with the vermiculite part? But I'm not sure what the JADAM was. That's why I didn't address that one. But yeah, feel free to email us in, John, too. info@seedtospoon.net if you have more questions. I'd love to chat with you. It sounds like you're doing some really interesting stuff there. So, all right. Well, do we have any other questions, or I think that's pretty much it. What's our webinar going to be next week? Our workshop
next week we're going to be talking all about cool season crops. So we'll talk more into specifics about the brassicas we're doing, and different things you can grow in the cool season, ways to extend your growing season, how to protect your plants in the cold outside. Yeah, all that.
Yeah, and we'll talk about some of our favorite varieties, especially for things like broccoli and cauliflower, how to make them taste good, why maybe you should think about broccoli a little different than you have. A little teaser for next week. All right. Yeah. Well, thanks everyone for joining. We appreciate y'all, and always love the conversation. And see y'all next week.
Yeah, it was fun. See you guys.
Bye.